Hi, I'm Kendra.
I'm Olivia. Sorry, I was taking a drink.
And Josh.
And this is our Music Oddcast. Today we have a special guest coming back. We have Elizabeth Helms.
Hi, glad
A
to be here.
re-guest, right?
Yes.
Is that a word?
Like guest starring.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll take that one.
And today we're going to talk about David Bowie's Pool Demon.
Yeah, a lot to do with him, actually. Just his interest in UFOs, witchcraft, magic and the occult,
Yeah,
and even
fuck yeah.
Nazism.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
Did you
if
say
you
Nazism?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I don't talk about it a lot because I think it's blown out of proportion a little bit. I think,
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We'll
I'm
get
glad that-
there.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
excited for the pool part because, like, I can totally relate.
it's so fun. I really like that story too. And
excited.
tonight we're drinking, actually, which we haven't done in a while, from Journeyman Distillery, their Old Country Goodness, which is a cider, and it has like a wonderful apple taste. And
Is that up in
cinnamon.
Michigan?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I've been there before.
It's really cool. It's in an old corset pin and bullwhip factory. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
really
think it's
cool.
like Featherbow or Featherbone or something like that.
Yeah.
Is that one of their whiskeys?
That's one of their main whiskeys, the Featherbone.
Yeah, it's really good. I bought a lot of it when
And you
I went
got their
there.
scotch, right?
I like the bourbon.
Okay, so as we navigate through the topics today, we're going to jump back and forth a lot in the timeline because, we're shifting from topic to topic. From all this information, my takeaway is that he was constantly learning and evolving, much like his music and different personas. Sometimes he changes his opinions, learns more, backtracks, and even changes his mind. Sometimes the press likes to twist some of his opinions or comments, changes, and label him as fickle. I don't believe that at all. And I think that he was just trying to find his path and continue to learn and question his beliefs his whole life. So I just wanted to say that to start out with.
Tight.
Yeah.
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 Okay. So just a little tiny bit about his background. He was born David Robert Jones in 1947. He was known for his musical talent, but also for his interest, and as I said before, UFOs, witchcraft, time travel, magic and the occult. As a teen, he edited a flying saucer newsletter and even saw a UFO while driving in the English countryside with a friend in 1967.
That definitely sounds like if I were in high school with David Bowie, like we would be friends.
Yeah,
Like
for
100%.
sure.
I think I would
Yeah.
have.
Like
taken his friend
absolutely.
too.
Like just gonna go ahead and throw that out there. Sounds right.
You
wanna
wonder
know-
because when you see pictures of him when he's real young, he's real straight-laced looking, but I don't know if he was...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and like his like early singles even and stuff, that he was very like pop idol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He even had like the nice like parted haircut, combed down and ties and
I mean, you just described half the people I played D&D with, so I'm still sticking to it.
Right.
yeah.
Friends for life.
Yeah, in 1968, he was in a relationship with Leslie Duncan, who provided backup vocals for Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. She would take Bowie on weekly UFO spotting meditation evenings at her flat. And the other people that attended the meetings said that they did see UFOs frequently, and they said that they always hoped to be taken away by one.
That's badass. Also, same.
Yeah. Samesies.
He was really fascinated by Roswell and believed that aliens did crash or land there. And that was claimed by his ex-wife, Angie Bowie. So, kind of take it with a grain of salt.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like all of Gen Z also agrees. So, I mean, they did try to storm Area 51.
That's true. Did anybody get hurt
No.
in that? Okay, good.
No.
Didn't
They turned
know.
it into like a music festival or something. But my favorite thing that ever happened, like in 2019, was 100% when the news reporter was out there being like, no, like thousands of people really did show up. And
Yeah.
the guy is Naruto running behind him.
Yes. Yeah.
I did see
Like
that.
So that they
forever.
couldn't, yeah, should have, of course.
Like that
Makes
lives
sense.
rent free in my brain
Yeah.
all the time.
He developed his Ziggy Stardust persona and released album Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars in 1972, which included songs Starman and Ziggy Stardust. In a 1975 interview for Cream magazine, he told a reporter that he might have an implant or some sort of metal in his body. And
That's like height of his paranoid phase, though, 275. So, yes, yeah.
yes.
That's pretty early, though, for someone claiming about the implant. That's
I know.
like an 80s or 90s thing where people are like, yeah, I've been probed and implanted.
I
Yeah.
feel like
Maybe not.
with most conspiracy theories, though, it goes in cycles. Like all the ones that are current are like very echoey of other ones.
Yeah.
That same year, he was overheard telling a ufologist that sometimes he would experience 6 or 7 UFO sightings a night. And that was, overheard by someone, and the person was a reporter. So also take it with a grain of salt. He said that they would stay stationary for about a half hour and then shoot off. In 1976, he played an alien in the film The Man Who Fell to Earth. He wrote the song Loving the Alien that was on his 1984 album Tonight. And by 1997, he claimed indifference on whether or not he believed that aliens existed. He even referred to himself as a traitor on the subject and said that his fascination was always about a spiritual search for himself. He also said that he could care less if there were life, or if there was life on Mars. In a 1999 interview for Newsnight, he joked that the internet was alien intelligence. And I don't know if this is true. You might know this. Was there an internet service called Bowie.net for a while? Because I was reading some stuff that wasn't super credible that...
He was like a super early adopter of like when the World Wide Web started.
Yeah.
Like he had a website that was like a hub of like trying out all sorts of new stuff. Like he even had a bank at some point that was like an online bank, like one of the first like ever.
I did read about the Bowie bonds.
Like before PayPal was a thing and everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But they said that some people even had like Bowie.net emails, and that would be fucking awesome to have, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shortly before his death, one of his final projects was a musical with aliens and the element of science fiction.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so this section, we just talked about the UFOs. It's more on the occult, religions, and I'm probably going to butcher this, but Kirlian photography. He was interested or inspired by Aleister Crowley's writings or beliefs, which we talk about in our episode about Aleister Crowley.
Which Liz was
Early in his
featured in also.
Yes, yeah.
That was the first time she came
Yeah.
to our podcast.
His song Quicksand was a nod to Crowley with lyrics, I'm closer to the Golden Dawn. For the Hunky Dory photo shoot, Bowie modeled a look similar to the Golden Dawn garb. And that's, for people that haven't listened to the past episode, it's the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. They were founded in 1888 and had a hierarchical structure. Leaders were guided by secret, mysterious chiefs who were top of the evolutionary tree, superhumans. And you will notice that this is a reoccurring theme throughout the discussion. Can you tell us more about the Golden Dawn?
Well, I mean, I would just refer people back to that episode because
Yeah.
we talked about him quite a bit back then.
We did.
It was a magical order founded in, I think, primarily in England, like London area, although they might have like been over in France too. I can't remember now. It's like two guys that came together. Malthus? I can't. Yeah, sorry, Malthus and Mather, I don't think that's correct. That they were exploring various, Kabbalistic and other like Renaissance magical stuff.
Yeah.
And like merging it all together with like recently translated Egyptian things as well.
He talked about his interest in the Kabbalah and Crowleyism openly in interviews. His interest in Kabbalah, he drew the Tree of Life in the studio while recording Station to Station. That was also, during his drug-fueled paranoid stage. He said, here we are, one magical movement from Kether to Malkuth. Malkuth is the 10th of the... I'm going to butcher this word, just telling you. Sephiroth, do you know?
Sephiroth, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Sephiroth in the, it's where the Kabbalah Tree of Life sits at the bottom of the tree. Kether is the topmost Sephiroth of the Tree of Life, meaning crown to the kingdom, royalty, kinship in Hebrew. He also claimed that Station to Station is very much concerned with Stations of the Cross, which is Catholic, Lutheran, Anglican, and Methodist. And that album was released in 1976. I don't think I mentioned.
That also just makes me think of that Crass album, Stations of the Crass. Sorry.
Oh.
It's a great fucking album though. If you like Crass or anarcho-punk, highly recommend.
On the Station to Station cover, Bowie's featured drawing a schematic of the Sephiroth in chalk. And he's wearing a blue and silver striped shirt. His 2016 song Lazarus from Black Star, his final album, was a tribute to albums. Kendra's trying to get a fly.
I'm trying to get
the
there's
fly.
a
Little fruit fly.
yeah, I'm just trying to keep it away from my cider whiskey.
Oh gosh, yeah.
What it's trying to get.
So,
for sure.
but I'm going to be distracting people because I'm going full on Karate Kid with trying to get it with my fingers. So if you hear
Do
me
mention
making
if you
weird
catch
noises,
one, because I
I will
be impressed.
Yeah, I will be fucking ecstatic.
You can catch it with chopsticks. That'd be
We do have
awesome.
chopsticks.
Challenge accepted. But you guys might hear some weird clicking. I'm not kidding. Like,
Yeah.
I will do this.
In the video for Lazarus, he is seen wearing a shroud while lying on a wooden bed with coins over his eyes, symbolizing crossing into the underworld. But he also was not very similar to the outfit on the cover of Station to Station. So it's kind of a, like we said, a nod to that album. Back in 1967, he was interested in Buddhism and even considered becoming a monk. One of his teachers told him that he should follow music. And he...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to just go ahead and thank that teacher.
Yes.
Right.
Who's not going to be listening to this podcast, but if they are for some reason, or if you know who the teacher is that, like, they're, like, drunk one night and being like, back in the day, I told Bowie should not become a monk, he should be a musician. I don't know if I regret that decision or not. Like, no, thank you.
I
Thank
couldn't
you
find
for
his
that.
name online, but I found an interview where he says his name, and it's long, and I couldn't transcribe it, so I just left it out.
That's fair.
Yeah,
No,
like
it's, it's cool. I kind of like that it's anonymous, like, but like knowing that like there's
It
the
was
person.
Aleister Crowley. No, probably not.
I like how because the Buddhism returns for him like in the 90s as well, and like with
Yes.
the aliens popping up in like at least 4 distinct places of his, well, maybe 5 distinct places in his career.
Yeah.
That it like ties into what you're saying at the beginning, that he wasn't like totally shifting. It's just like he had like these specific interests, and
Yeah.
like one of them was dominant at specific times or interesting to him at a specific time, and
I agree
the other
with
ones
that.
were still there in the background, just
Yeah.
coming out again later on.
And I liked how you saw a lot of that with Black Star. It seemed like
Yeah.
he kind of revisited a lot of those ideas. He did learn the importance of transcendence and change from Buddhism. His song 7 Years in Tibet was written after he had moved away from Buddhism, but he still had much appreciation for what it had done for him. And he also wanted to bring awareness to the Tibetan struggles. And this was on his 1997 album, Earthling. The Kirlian photography developed, by the Soviets. My own bad joke. To measure the flow of animal magnetism in the human body, he used a Kirlian photo of the field surrounding his fingertips taken in 1975 for the inside sleeve of his 1997 Earthling album.
Did you look that up? Like, how does that work? Do you know?
I don't know. I should have looked more
So
into
wait,
it.
one question, like, so you're saying that this photography, like, basically, like, photographs the energy fields on humans and objects.
Yeah,
and
and
stuff like that?
I've seen.
That sounds dope. I'm gonna look
Yeah.
into that.
Heard
That
of
sounds
it.
like fun.
Yeah.
But I just think everyone needs to know that in Olivia's notes, she wrote the ha-ha.
I know,
I
I
think
did.
that's the most adorable thing in the world.
I didn't even catch that.
Oh, I immediately looked, and I'm just like, I'm very satisfied with life right now. So I appreciation for Olivia, because that is
Gotta
fantastic.
script it out sometimes.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
I get nervous and I forget to say things sometimes. So
No, I love it. I love that. Like the pun was there. Nailed it. Good job. 100%.
okay, so this next part is probably my favorite. It's witchcraft, demons, and witches after his semen.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's
You're
just fun.
In 1975, Bowie moved to Los Angeles, a few miles from where the Tate murders happened. And possibly, there was a couple different stories. One saying that a friend owned the house, owned by Gypsy Rose Lee, the burlesque dancer. But then some people said that this was the home owned by Gypsy Rose Lee. But I guess there was a hand-carved or painted hexagram on the floor. He was very addicted to cocaine at the time and was extremely paranoid. He had dropped down to 80 pounds. He was living off of milk, peppers, and cocaine. He would stay up for 7 to 8 days at a time and kept the curtains drawn and relied on the light from black candles to light the house.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Taking
fucking.
it pretty far.
That's a fucking dark period of your life, dude. Like that
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
rough.
Ounces like
Milk and peppers. Like that's.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
really
like,
concerned.
I've
Yeah.
totally
I mean,
heard that
like, I
story
get
before,
the
yeah.
whole cocaine thing, but like milk and
It
peppers.
seems
The
like it
milk?
would cause a lot of indigestion.
Yeah.
But like, well, I mean, like, I just assumed that it was like he's like eating peppers and then be like, oh shit, that's hot, and then just drinking the milk.
Oh, maybe.
Like,
I didn't
is
think about that.
I to be a fly on the wall.
Oh, yeah. This whole period I would really like to watch most
Fascinating.
of it.
Yeah.
I know, like in Angie Bowie's biography of him. Like one of the reasons he moves to LA is he was living in New York and he thought that like Jimmy Page had cursed his apartment or something in New York.
Maybe.
So like the paranoia, which ties into all the Jimmy Page stuff too.
Yeah.
But like that, like the paranoia was what even sent him to LA into this situation in the first place.
I just had this like hilarious. Okay, so like on the internet, like everybody can make fun of like how there's always drama and witch talk on TikTok or whatever. But it's like is like the fucking rock and roll scene, the OG witch talk like drama? Like are they like seriously like talking about cursing each other's apartments and shit? 'Cause that's fucking funny. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, some really good music came out of musicians' fascination with like Crowley and the occult.
Oh yeah, no, I mean like
Yeah,
I
impact.
fucks with witchcraft like for real, but like it's just funny to think like
Jimmy Page seems
that like
like a
these
nice
like
dude.
that
He
these
does
like
seem kinda
super
nice.
I don't-
Yeah.
these super successful musicians are like being spiked. I don't know. It's just it's
Yeah.
that mental image of it is pretty funny to me.
It could happen.
I
you
mean,
know.
like it's probably the cocaine, but
Yeah.
like it's also a funny thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was, he even admitted that he was possibly hallucinating at the time. And actually, his older brother was schizophrenic and was institutionalized and committed suicide.
That's
I think his
sad.
name is Terry. Yeah, very sad. So, I mean, there's probably always that worry in the back of his mind, too, which causes more stress and anxiety over the situation.
For sure.
Over, like, maybe he might have mental illness.
Well,
maybe
yeah, and just like all the drama that went on at the end of like the Ziggy tours of like the band members like demanding more money, that he had
Right.
found out that people were withholding money from him, and
There was
were
even
lying to him
fight
about like
over
how much
like
tours cost and
who,
stuff.
I think it was what album was it? They were the label was fighting over like who actually had control of the album, and he wasn't even making a lot of money at the time because the label was making money, and they would give him. He was like living off of advances, and yeah.
It's
It was
so
crazy.
It's so criminal when you look at like how all these artists got fucked over so
Yeah, it's like across
bad.
the board.
Yeah.
Every artist we talk about from the 60s or 70s, it's like, oh, they didn't
Shit,
have
I
any
mean, like
money,
it
they
even
didn't fight for
happened
their
like with like
music.
TLC and stuff
I know.
too. I mean, like
Yeah.
it's not like
Yeah.
it's that's gone away.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
not like the
Don't
current
go chasing.
Spotify dominant system right now is any better for artists either.
Right.
No,
True.
That's true.
But at least it's kind of clear cut what people are making. Back then it was like the artist just didn't have any idea. They were like, oh, I
Yeah.
signed this and
Right.
they told me it was for a sandwich and now I lost the rights for my songs.
Yeah, and his band was actually on tour with him while they were trying to sue him, and part of it had to do with
so awkward.
this live recording that was made
1, 2.
that they weren't made aware of. They just kind of realized that it was happening, and they weren't getting any extra money for it, and they were, understandably pissed off about it.
Wait,
so,
what was the other band that had drama like that? Like that they were all like suing each other while on tour.
oh gosh,
Oh, I don't know about
Like,
on
that was-
tour.
We did
Yeah.
an episode and then we talked
I'm
about
trying to
that.
remember.
Like it was a while ago.
I'm immediately thinking about like Morrissey, of course, and his relationship with the other Smiths. So I'm glad like Morrissey ended up doing like these really hateful, awful like spoken word pieces about how much he hated the rest of the Smiths. I'm glad that from Bowie we got like the song Ashes to
Yeah.
Ashes, which is like beautiful, like one of my favorite Bowie songs.
It
Of
is.
him like just like coming to terms with who he used to be and like being ready to move on.
yeah,
Versus, just word vomit of how much you hate other people.
yeah,
Well, I think there could be a volume of books written about the character differences between Bowie and
Yeah.
Morrissey, though.
Yeah.
I think so too.
I don't need another project, Kendra.
Oh my gosh. Just sometime I'll bring it up again and you have to say challenge accepted because I would love to read that.
So he was wearing a crucifix as a talisman of protection at the time, and he believed that witches were after his semen so they could be impregnated on the witch's Sabbath to either birth the Antichrist or sacrifice the baby to Satan. He was really interested in warlock Israel Regardie at the time. He even called his wife Angela, who was living in London, to tell her that he was being held against his will by said semen-seeking witches. He was worried about his nail clippings, his hair, blood.
That's a great band name. I'm sorry. Semen Seeking Witches? Yeah. That's so fucking good.
Yeah.
Someone
It actually
use
is.
it, please.
It's interesting, like how old school that is, because that's like a Renaissance idea of witchcraft that like Margaret Murray brought back in like the 1920s and 30s, and like was hugely influenced anthropology for a minute. But that like Bowie picked on like those stories from the witch trials rather than any like
like any
60s
actual witchcraft
counterculture.
practice, like where like
Yeah.
I can't speak for all witches, obviously, but like the majority don't believe in Satan. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
But like, yeah, like the Renaissance idea of witchcraft and like what anthropologists would have lead up until like really recently was, like that it was
Yeah.
based upon worship of
Satanic.
Satan.
Yeah.
that's funny.
Yeah, he kept his urine in the fridge, I guess,
Who doesn't?
in glass bottles. Which seems like they would be able to get that more easily than if it went down the toilet. I didn't understand that.
I don't like if you're really paranoid about somebody wanting to hex you, empty out your hairbrush and your nail
Yeah.
clippings and all that stuff.
He
and
burned his
flush
hair
it,
from
and
brushes.
You don't even have to be that dramatic. Like just fucking flush it down the toilet. Like
Yeah.
are they like they're not gonna like. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go through the plumbing and wade through his shit
Goes
to
to
get
the
some
underworld.
good urine samples. No,
Middle
no one's
Earth.
gonna do that.
It sounds like he had issues with the toilet too, though. So he wasn't flushing anything. It sounds like,
that's true.
It's fair. It's fair.
He also became convinced that the
Can you
devil-
imagine going? Sorry, can you
you're
imagine going to a party at Bowie's house? Like, oh yeah, we're gonna go do lots of coke. Oh man, I'm gonna grab this beer and it's fucking piss.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
I mean, we've probably all been to like parties at
I mean,
punk
I've been to a
houses
party where that happened
Yeah.
in the 40s. Like, yeah, I ended up moving into that house later, and like I'm like forever will remember the bedroom that got converted from a kitchen to a bedroom. And like my friend drank a 40 of piss in this fucking room at a party once.
did they down it or did they just
no,
take a
they definitely
sip?
spit it out.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, that's
It
great,
I
man.
thought they like finished it.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. Nope.
So
It
they
was
could tell
took
right
a
away.
giant swig and then they were like immediately.
That's a nice reminder to appreciate your 30s.
Yeah.
That's true.
Okay, he became convinced that the devil possessed his house after he saw the devil rising out of his pool and insisted on an exorcism. The house was full of Egyptian and occult objects, and he would draw pentagrams all over the walls and on large pieces of paper that he hung everywhere. The Bowies contacted White Witch Wally Elmlark. I think that's a really cool name.
That is
Wally
a
Elmlark.
great name.
Yeah, he was too paranoid to let people into the house, so she explained to him how to rid the home of the demon and restore balance. They scattered herbs around the home and read passages from the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Odd thing, during the ritual, there was a thunder and lightning storm outside of their balcony window, but the sun was shining outside of every other window in the house. Pretty strange.
Yeah.
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 I mean, I don't know a lot about LA weather, but that does seem weird.
Yeah. I mean, I think that'd be weird for anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
They had gathered all the books and talisman that Wally had advised them to buy. He carried out the exorcism himself, and the couple kept hearing strange noises like a loud vacuum cleaner, which is funny because you don't think of that as like a scary noise, like somebody cleaning. But,
No,
maybe it was scary when they heard it.
Yeah.
The pool first began to bubble, then it became more vigorous before the water was thrashing around.
Wow.
It took him 15 minutes to complete the exorcism, but the water went back to normal, except for a large dark shadow stain that was left at the bottom of the pool in the shape of the beast. And other tenants of the home claim that they haven't been able to remove the stain even after it's been painted over several times.
Wow.
Yeah, very weird.
Yeah. And all that comes from Angie Bowie, too,
Yeah.
like her biography of him. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And her biography is called Backstage Pass. Yeah, I used that for research, and then also biographies by Mark Spitz, David Buckley, and Timothy Green Beckley, and that's where I got a lot of the information about Wally Elmlark. The Bowies first met White Witch Wally Elmlark in London. She was working on a spoken word album with Robert Fripp from King Crimson. She was pale with black hair and green streaks, and I mean this was probably before a lot of people looked like that. At least I
She
would
sounds
assume.
hot.
Yeah. She taught, I thought this was my favorite part. She taught classes at the New York School of Occult Arts and Sciences, which held lectures and workshops on UFOs, tarot cards, witchcraft, prophecy, astral projection, lessons on how to Ouija safely, and seances were held every Saturday. So it's kind of like
much
an
covered
adult
everything.
Hogwarts.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I want to go.
I know. And that was actually founded by Timothy Green Beckley. She was also a music journalist for the Wally. For Circus and Melody Maker magazines, she was described as beautiful, charismatic, captivating. She seemed to instinctively know which way rock and roll was headed, almost like she had a window into the future. She did psychic readings, spells, and would offer, homemade specific colored candles as good luck charms to
I
musicians.
think I'm in love. So like, if you like, I'm gonna write down this name so I can Google pictures of her later.
Yeah.
Because
Wow, wait.
because I'm already like, oh my gosh, if I met her tomorrow, I'd be like, marry me.
Yeah. She seemed really cool. She worked with Mark Bolan, T-Rex, and believed that he was the reincarnated soul of Merlin the Magician. She worked with Frankie Valli, Bowie, of course, Jerry Garcia, and, mentioned before, Robert Fripp. She was the White Witch of New York. She was Wiccan and a selfless practitioner and healer. She sadly died by suicide. Yeah,
sucks.
when she was
I was
still
gonna
pretty
ask
young.
if she was still alive, but
No.
that answers that question.
Yeah.
Yeah, she sounds badass though.
I know. Before we get into the Nazi part of the story, I wanted to also mention, I didn't really know where to fit this part, but he mentions the novel The Coming Race by 19th century author Edward Bulwer Lytton, which I'm going to give you his full title because it's hilarious. It's Edward George Earl Lytton Bulwer Lytton, 1st Baron Lytton, PC.
How many Littons were in there?
I know.
I think
Just one in
Lots.
between everything.
I feel like there was 4. I could be wrong. That is like that's their full name.
3.
Yeah.
That's like when you're like exaggerating your name and you're like talking shit with your friends. Like I had a friend who's like, I'm a Harvey motherfucking Trout. See the CEO, but bitch, you're fired, bitch. Like, and it was like bitch in between everything. I feel like they did that with like Linton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Which was bitch in the time.
I was like Dance Dance Revolution 3 times champion. I'm trying to remember. It was like the longest name. The longest name. I used to have like half of it memorized.
Having a long hyphenated first name does make me feel sorry for him because I know that every single computer service and email is like going to mess that up.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's never going to be printed right on any of his IDs.
Yeah. And just
Yeah.
think trying to put that on a book,
Right.
Like the whole bottom line.
Yeah.
Page 1. Name.
So yeah, The Coming Race, his book was referenced in song "Oh You Pretty Things" on 1971 album Hunky Dory. Linton believed in the existence of vril, which was a concentration of power in the human body. He believed that if you gained control of your vril, you would have superhuman powers. And he was, Bulwer Lytton was also a politician, Whig member of parliament from 1831 to 1841. On to the part about the Nazis. And I don't think it was commonly known, because it seems like everything that I read, a lot of this came up in a 1993 interview where he mentioned his prior fascination with Nazis in an interview with Tony Parsons. He talked about how his fascination with Nazis and mysticism grew out of control when he was, in his drug-fueled paranoid days. He was mostly interested in Goebbels, which doesn't make it sound better, but he called him an extraordinary guy, and he even referred to Hitler as a rock star in interviews.
Ew.
But some of that was kind of implied that it was, sort of a tongue-in-cheek support of Hitler and fascism.
Yeah, that's just not a good look.
Yeah, and that was
No.
also in Playboy. So, I mean,
Yeah, but even still, like, I'm glad
No.
that that's not a fucking trend anymore. Ugh.
yeah.
Like, I just,
Right.
I get being, like, shocking. Mm-hmm. And, like, I mean, I know that he was, like, a shock rock kind of guy. Like, or not shock rock, but kind of. I mean, he'd do, like, really crazy shit. But, like...
He said himself that what drew him to the subject was their search for the Holy Grail in England. And he said that he was drawn to the Arthurian need, the search for a mythological link with God. And there's a lot of people that have kind of gone down that route. Even, I thought this was funny, Nicolas Cage.
Well, Nazis were into all kinds of crazy shit. Like,
Yeah.
the weird projects that they were doing. Like, and, like, yeah, I can't deny that. But, like...
Well, yeah, and even like someone like even like our contemporary ideas about race like go back to like occult theories of history and like the idea of Atlantis or like secret Aryan masters living in Tibet up in the mountains and like all sorts of stuff like that, like from the occult led over to Nazism and like continue to associate those things together for a long time.
Yeah. In a 1975 interview with NME, he said that rock and roll was dead and in need of a new dictator. And yeah, I mean, I think a lot of this could have been taken out of context, which you see so much in the press.
What year was that?
That was in 1975. Also.
Okay, I thought you said 79. I was like, wow, okay, no, because that's like sober Bowie. I'm like, that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Even though he, was talking about this and this period of his life in 93, it happened while he was living in LA. And, we already talked about all that. And it was soon after the Tate and LaBianca murders, and he was kind of fascinated with Charles Manson as well. And he, was really interested in Nazi symbols and the occult roots in Nazism. Some like to say that his 1976 thin white Duke persona was modeled off of the Aryan idea of the Übermensch. And I'm trying to say that the best way I can. It's a German word.
It's Übermensch. I think.
Yeah,
I never took German.
Yeah, I'm trying. I don't know. But yeah, it seemed like Übermensch. Definitely probably saying that wrong. It was the idea of the ideal superior man of the future, which, like we said, other interest in that as well. And this person, this idea of a person could rise above the conventional Christian morality to create and impose his own values. Described by Nietzsche in Thus Spake Zarathustra. I'm probably butchering that as well. Thus Spake Zarathustra. But yeah, once again, the idea of like a Superman. On his 1976 album, Station to Station, he sings, "I'm ready to shape the scheme of things," which is all, also kind of referred to as the Übermensch ideas, and a reference to the 1,000-year Nazi Empire on Golden Years when he says, "I'll stick with you, baby, for 1,000 years. Nothing's gonna touch you in these golden years," which I don't buy that. Do you buy that one, that's talking about Nazism and the idea of the 1,000-year Nazi Empire?
Because didn't Bowie also clip stuff out of newspapers and just piece it together for lyrics at times? Pretty
Sometimes.
sure you read a lot of lyrics where he just cut random stuff out of like newspapers.
Yeah.
Magazines.
Occasionally for like
I'm
inspiration.
not saying he did that for that line, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like he doesn't seem like he's taking the lyrics that seriously
Yeah.
at times.
It's like, because he always works with like so many layers, and like part of doing that was to like accidentally invent new layers to things that he wouldn't even thought of. Like golden years is, of course, can both mean like the fondest period of your life, or like, like old age, but also like in occult stuff, golden years would be like the golden time period of like Atlantis.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, whatever cycle, everything just was like perfect. So I could see that, but it feels like a stretch given like
I know. Yeah, it just kind of
the
seems
rest
like
of this
that a little
song.
bit. I know. Kind of end on a high note. In the 80s and 90s, Bowie publicly talked about his anti-racist views and in interviews, and he also criticized MTV for not providing enough coverage of black musicians. His videos for China Girl and Let's Dance made a direct statement about racism, and his album Tin Machine took a stance against neo-Nazism and fascism.
Okay, that makes me feel better.
Yeah.
I was like getting ready to be like,
I know. I hated to
like
mention.
my soul was like,
I know.
Like if it would sound like my dog when she's like getting moved and she doesn't want to be.
Yeah.
Like,
like
that's what my soul was doing. But now I feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
he's a little bit old for like the usual punk rock excuse too. So like the Sex Pistols played around with like a lot of Nazi imagery too, and like other punk bands
They're
in
just
like
kids,
'77. Yeah, like part of their point was like our parents hate this stuff. They won't really teach us about it in school though. So like we're just going to use it to shock people, and they didn't even necessarily know the full history other than like the war was terrible and like your grandparents barely made it out alive. And
I feel like Johnny Rotten's gotten into some shit lately. I can't remember what he said.
Oh, really?
Like
he-
politically or something.
he said to vote for that he would vote for Trump.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
so like
Yeah.
now there's like a
Trump
whole
shirt. Like,
thing of
what's
everybody
happening?
just being like, yeah, just because you're around in the beginning doesn't mean that you're still punk. So go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
That, and, like it seems like he always has tried to kind of go
contrarian.
against.
Yeah, absolutely.
And maybe like in an obnoxious way.
Yeah, it's like there's a difference between like being interesting and just being a dick, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
He also like plays up paranoia too, because like I know like by at least at the end of the '90s he had this whole spiel about how he was afraid to go back to England because like someone might assassinate him, and
Oh jeez.
that definitely. I don't think the royal family was holding a grudge against him in particular. He wasn't going to get invited to dinner either. But,
Yeah.
That's funny.
But yeah, I was reluctant to mention that, but I thought it was important, when
At
talking
least
about
he, like,
all of the different.
like actively was talking about issues that are still being struggled with
Yeah.
today. So
yeah, sure.
yeah,
That's true. That and just to kind of show like how he evolved as a person and what he was
Yeah.
interested in, his beliefs, and
Well, it seems like he's like really like he really definitely took time to like look into a lot of different shit.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean,
And just was
I
interested
think
in
it's
weird
boring if somebody
stuff.
like doesn't ever explore outside of what they're comfortable with. So
I agree.
no shame in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's like good that there's a quote in there somewhere, but I'd always thought of like the pool thing as like him basically creating a ritual to like help himself heal. Like
Yeah.
he was blocked, he was stuck, he couldn't go on living the way that he was living. And like part of that ritual was him like cleansing himself. Like it was more about him than the pool or whatever
Yeah.
he imagined going on in the house at the time.
But pool demons.
Yeah.
Like I
demons.
think
I mean-
that sounds legit. I don't know. Like I love scary movies, and I'm just like waiting for the one like that happened not too far from here, like in Gary, Indiana.
Oh, yeah.
The haunting of Latoya Amons.
Yeah.
Yeah, we mentioned it. I don't.
Yeah,
did.
I
If
just
we're gonna
want
get into
that.
it.
But yeah, the hell mouth or whatever, or like the portal to hell
Yeah.
in Gary, Indiana.
The crazy
how it
thing
would
about
be.
that time
Yeah.
too, I think he had 5 albums and was it 3 years around that time?
Oh yeah.
And he was
what-
like touring constantly and writing and recording. And, you know, his lifestyle and diet, lack of nutrition. He just had a lot going on.
Yeah, I mean, like
Yeah.
anyone eating peppers and milk.
I know, don't do
for
it.
substance. Like if you are considering the peppered milk diet with gratuitous amounts of cocaine, don't do it.
Yeah. It was sad too because I was reading that he thought that he couldn't be as creative without the cocaine. So that was part of the reason that he abused it for so long because he was, you know, doing so well for a while on it that he thought that if he stopped, he, you know, it wouldn't.
That sounds like
Super sad.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like the thoughts that somebody would have like when coming down too.
Yeah.
So I mean, I get
Oh,
it.
yeah.
And like cocaine's
Yeah,
really
for sure.
addictive for a very specific reason. Like even if dabble casually, like you're like, oh, I get it.
that makes when he finally broke out of it and he was collaborating with Brian Eno, like that makes so much more sense. Like Brian
Yeah.
Eno would be the exact right person to have on hand when you're worried about your creativity because he'd be like, no, we're gonna run with that.
Yeah.
Constantly. Yeah.
Seems like getting out of his first marriage was a good thing for him. I think that she sounds like an interesting person and she, you know, kind of helped shape him in the beginning, but, or at
Yeah.
least like she says she did. But
She was like super involved in like makeup and costumes, like convincing the rest of the band like to go along with it. In addition to I think the bassist wife as well.
Yeah.
Was like super involved in that stuff.
That's dope because
But you-
iconic.
yeah.
But like the way that they talk about each other is definitely a he said, she said kind
Yeah.
of thing. And like,
It got ugly.
yeah,
Really ugly.
like that. Yeah. Like I know that Duncan Jones doesn't talk to her.
And David raised him. His name was Zoe Bowie.
Yeah.
He was born Zoe Bowie,
Bowie,
but
nice.
then, you know,
Yeah.
he changed his name to Duncan Jones. And he is director.
Wow.
He was director these days. Did you guys, what was the
Moon
movie with
was his-
Sam? Yeah, Moon. Moon
Moon
was
was,
wonderful.
yeah, amazing.
Oh,
I
it's
even
fantastic,
liked
yeah.
I even liked his Warcraft
Rockwell.
movie.
What was it?
He did Warcraft.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it was good. I thought it was really good. And probably something else awesome after.
Funny.
Yeah.
Still thinking about pool demons.
Right. I heard on another podcast about a
just
company
Demon.
that you can, if you feel like a certain part of your house might have like a demon or it's like oppressive, you can send a photo to this company and they'll tell you whether or not it is, you know, there
Also-
is
Photograph?
a
Okay.
possession. Yeah.
Like just to put
For
this
how
out
much?
there,
I know.
like there are like people in every big city and in most states that do go to haunted places and help with that.
Oh, yeah.
There's like it's like at clubs, like I'm not gonna say who, but like I have some people I know that like are involved with that, and
Yeah.
people that tend to be more sensitive, they're able to kind of pinpoint if it's a good energy or a bad energy. Like if it's a good one, like it doesn't have to go, whatever.
Yeah.
But there's some dark shit out there, so yeah, it's like there's I think Fort Wayne has like a ghost hunters club, and it's like, and it's
Probably.
not just like the haunted tours things. Like they have
Yeah.
like the cameras and all the stuff for it. Like
One of my coworkers' ex-husband was part of that group and he spent a ton of money on like really expensive equipment
yeah,
to, you know, for these investigations that he
yeah.
would go
So
on.
if you feel like you have a pool demon,
Yeah.
There is people that can help. There is people
We'd
that
have to
can
get a
help.
pool first.
You wonder too how much of that was like manifested by like his thoughts at the time.
Well, also if he's like
I
doing
think that's
rituals
real, that people
with
can do that.
nothing but like candles and like drawing pentagrams everywhere.
And I mean, even the
like pentacles,
occult
or, like-
objects that were around his house and the Egyptian objects. Because sometimes that stuff can be like cursed
if
or
you're
haunted.
like fucked up, like you
Or
could
some
have
people
just
think that
done
they are.
something accidentally. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're like on a coke binge, like he was,
Yeah.
and like barely existing on food and substance, like
and possibly
Yeah.
hallucinating.
yeah, and hallucinating, and you're like in a house full of magical objects and like only seen by candlelight. Like
Yeah.
like
Where
some
it's
fucked up shit
just-
could probably happen.
You
Like,
don't allow visitors, and it's just you and a wife that like you don't even like
Yeah, she was
talk
barely
to,
even
like
living
relate
there.
to at all. Yeah.
yeah, that's like
In the version that I read that said that was Gypsy Rose Lee's old house, they said that he was really bothered by the hexagram when he saw it and that could have, kind of started the whole idea. But then, I don't know that that's true. It could have not
like,
been her
it's-
house.
And that symbol in itself too. It's like, when the star is right side up and it has a circle around it, it's a pentacle, and it's a good thing. You know what I mean? And then like the pentagram, I don't know if it is circled or not, but it's upside down. And
Okay.
so it's like completely different symbols. So a lot of times, like, or even like Dutch hexes too, like that's like supposed to ward off evil, which is like the same symbol as like the pentacle.
Yeah.
So
Upside
like,
down cross is always bad in horror movies.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's all I
fair.
know. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's really
That's fair, but it's like it's just kind of funny because like with that symbol, like so many people have like assumptions or
Yeah.
preconceived notions of what it is, but like it's actually like something for protection
Yeah.
instead of like summoning Satan or like whatever.
Just
Like
assume.
it's kind of like the opposite. So which makes sense of why he was putting them all over his house because it
Yeah.
is a symbol of protection. Studies in some cultures, whatever. But
Yeah.
not in all of them. Whatever. I'm not trying to pretend like I'm an expert.
No.
I'm just throwing it out there.
I
Yeah.
will never know enough.
So who would be the lizard person in this story? Because
The
I don't think
landlord.
he was. Oh, the landlord could be.
That like sold him the house.
Yeah.
I don't think Angela Bowie is the lizard person. I definitely don't think David Bowie was the lizard person.
No. I don't
Yeah.
Huh.
He's too woke.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe there could be like some sketchy like bandmate or
People
something.
that were
You
hanging
never know. I mean,
around.
like if you're
Right.
like touring and
Oh,
suing at
so-
the same
Strings on
time.
everything.
Mick Ronson was the lizard person. Is
Yeah.
That son of a bitch.
Maybe one of the semen seeking witches
Yeah,
was the lizard.
that's
Maybe they were all
absolutely-
lizard
Yeah, but
people.
she's a witch.
This would have been right around the time that he's collaborating with John Lennon. Is John
Oh, yeah.
Lennon a lizard person? Because like,
No doubt.
That would explain a lot of the Beatles conspiracies.
yeah,
And there are a lot.
because the second Paul definitely was.
Yeah.
Paul 3's putting out an album, and it's called Paul 3, isn't it? Or McCartney 3.
Excellent.
That's by.
I
there's
did
a
read
third
about the
McCartney
new
now.
album.
He's putting out, yeah.
That's funny.
I think it's going to be on Third Man Records, and I'm actually wearing a Third Man Records sweatshirt right
Nice.
now. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. I just yawned. I hope you guys enjoyed that.
Yeah. So what are you guys into these days? Anything interesting?
Been reading a lot of really cheesy webtoons on the Webtoon app.
Nice.
It's satisfying for me. I have no shame.
We have no judgment.
Yeah. I've been listening to. I just listened to the Sandman for, like on Audible. By
Oh,
Neil
how
Gaiman.
is it? in
Oh, it's
audio
fun.
form?
It's fun. Like it's definitely different from the comics, but it's a fun listen. Like, and it's got like a full cast, so that's very enjoyable. I like it when they do that. 'Cause
Yeah.
I didn't know how I felt about like listening to a full cast performance of a comic book, but Neil Gaiman like narrates it and kind of sets the scene for everything, so it
Oh,
helps.
cool.
It definitely helps.
Yeah, sometimes
That
they get a
sounds
person that's really good with like all the different voices, and then sometimes not so much.
Yeah,
So I
Yeah.
do kind of like the idea of like a full cast.
like the guy from Star Trek. That's like the kid in Star Trek. What's his name?
From Next Generation.
I don't know. Like
Will
Oh,
Wheaton?
Will Wheaton, yeah.
Will Wheaton.
Yeah.
He narrated Ready Player One
Yeah.
on Audible, and I fucking hated it.
Oh, really?
Like I liked the book,
'Cause I like him a
it
lot.
took me like a good like 3 hours not to like cringe every time he spoke, which was like so I was like basically like
dang.
like the whole time.
Because I haven't listened to his. I read the book, but I didn't listen to him narrating. But I always wanted to.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I just have a thing with voices.
Yeah.
I'm not neurotypical. So like I have like certain sounds and like frequencies that like kind of trigger my brain a little bit. So,
Yeah.
which I think that could explain my hatred for Pearl Jam.
Oh, yeah.
Like, cause
Again
like,
with this.
no, it's like, it's bothered me. Like, why do I hate this band so much? And I'm like, oh, it's just like literally like, yeah, it's just like a bad stem, you know?
What are your thoughts on the Andy Serkis narration of The Hobbit? He's the guy that plays Gollum in the Lord of the Rings
Nice.
movies. Yeah, and I think he's
Well, that's
wonderful.
fun.
But and I don't know if it's out yet.
Yeah, other than that, like just listen to the new Dresden Files book, which is exciting. And I've been listening to a lot of like chill wave stuff. Like I can't think of a band off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
just like soothing, chill music. Cause yeah, it's 2020, life's stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mellow it out.
What about you, Josh?
What have I been listening to? I was just listening to this Adrienne Lenker album. She's a
Oh,
singer
yeah,
for
from
Big
Big
Thief.
Thief, yeah.
It's pretty good. It's got a nice mellow acoustic album. It's really good. She writes good songs.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big Thief's a favorite of mine.
Yeah, they're
Recently,
super
they're amazing.
good too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that just makes me think of Vin Diesel, guys. Vin Diesel, the actor, has like this like really catchy electronic song out.
Oh.
And I thoroughly enjoy it. Like I'm already like a stan for Vin Diesel. But
I
like
don't hate him.
Oh no, I love him.
I don't like the Fast and Furious movies, but
He's a total nerd.
like his
I really
voice.
respect him.
yeah.
But his voice,
I like the
he's
Witch Hunter movie.
It's higher pitched than you would assume. His singing voice.
Oh, I guess. Yeah, I mean, when
Because he has such
yeah.
a deep voice when he's talking.
He's like
Yeah,
forced
Chronicles
to
was-
be
a
deep
critic
to be
was good,
tough.
too.
Yeah,
or
I'll
like
play
you
it for you
can't
guys when
sing
we,
much lower than you can talk, probably.
I'll play a clip for you guys like
Barry
after
White
we're
it.
done. But yeah, it's enjoyable. I recommend checking Vin Diesel out if you're into like electro pop type stuff. Sorry,
Liz, what
sorry
about
to
you?
cut off.
No, that's good.
I have been watching The Haunting of Bly Manor because I like The
Yes.
Haunting of Hill House like a lot.
Me too.
And I've got like 2 episodes left on Bly Manor. I don't even know that I'm going to finish it actually. I probably will at some
have
point, but like my interest in it just like waned and waned and waned as they like explained more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas it didn't with Hill House. Like I wasn't quite interested on the first episode. And then like by the end, like I watched like 6 episodes in a night, I swear, or something.
Yeah, I liked Bly Manor a little bit more.
Okay.
I had to revisit Hell House to appreciate it more. I really like it. I really do. I like the cast, everything.
The acting in Bly Manor is definitely way higher level, more consistent for
Yeah.
sure. Whereas, yeah, Hill House, some of the actors didn't quite carry a whole episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Damn it,
completely agree
Steven,
with
or
that.
whatever his name was. Was it Steven?
I know. Yeah. But, you kind of wonder sometimes, because there was one scene where I think the actor that plays Steven, who's also, I think it's Michael Huisman from
I
Game of
thought
Thrones.
he was okay.
Yeah, he was great in a lot of it, but there's one scene where they're at, spoiler alert, the sister Nellie's funeral, and I think he like totally blows the scene, like completely blows it.
Maybe. Yeah.
But yeah,
Is
there could have been
that
bad writing.
Like the night before, like when like the one that's just like a 2 or 3 tracking shots like that. That
I
one?
think so. It's like
Yeah.
he's walking up to look at his sister, and then it just starts
Yeah.
acting very strange, but it's not convincing at all.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I didn't know how to do this scene, but I couldn't do it.
Can
But-
almost be a little forgiving because the director had like an idea for that episode that was only going to be like these super long tracking shots like throughout
Yeah.
like and the set was built so that set was connected to the Hill House set so they could go through as the father walks backwards in time, like they could walk from one set to the other down this one hallway.
cool.
Yeah, like you don't even notice it while you're watching it, then
Yeah, I
realize
never
like,
thought
oh,
about
this
it, yeah.
just went through like 4 rooms into 4 rooms in a different building.
Yeah.
And like it's all one shot, like not composited at all. So like I could forgive the acting in that
Yeah.
episode because like how many shots can you do if every shot is like 15 minutes long?
Right.
Or how many takes can you do?
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
I also thought it was really distracting that they had the completely unnecessary blue contacts on the actor that played Elliot in E.T., but was the younger version of the dad. Yeah, they put these like bright, weird blue contacts on him,
Oh,
and he
yeah.
has like
Blue
bluish
eyes.
green eyes in real
Yeah.
life. Yeah, and it was so he looked like the older actor, which I think was
I thought they
Timothy
were trying
Hutton.
to match him to Timothy Hutton, but it
Because
turns
he has
out
like
they
these
have
piercing
the
blue
same
eyes. But yeah, it wouldn't have
Get
been
it.
noticeable. But yeah, it's distracting in scenes because
Yeah.
they're like this weird blue, and then his pupils are too small because of it. But
I haven't seen it, but now I'm fascinated.
yeah,
You'll-
but
you'll
yeah,
see this
Bly
guy's
Manor.
eyes and be like, yeah, he's wearing contacts. It looks weird.
But yeah, I was really satisfied with Bly Manor completely.
So I will, probably
Yeah.
finish that this weekend.
Good. Anything else that?
I don't know. I'm a teacher, so I don't know that I've had time for anything else lately. Yeah.
Yeah, I been rewatching a ton of old horror movies, like at least one a day, sometimes
Yes.
more. And also listening to a podcast called Dead and Gone, which I really enjoyed. It's about murders that happened after Grateful Dead concerts.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Interesting.
Yeah, the guy that's
Podcast
doing
idea.
it is Payne Lindsay, who has a couple other investigative podcasts about murders or cold cases. And then a guy that I hadn't heard of, and I don't remember his name, but he also has, I guess, a music podcast. So it's pretty good.
That sounds interesting.
Worth listening
it's
to.
cool.
Yeah.
I've been listening to a podcast called You're Wrong About, where like the two hosts, they have like their own areas of interest, but they will take something that was like in popular press, like in newspapers and everything, and just explain why the story that like everybody remembers was not quite the right
Like,
story.
what
Like they've done like Nancy Kerrigan and Tanya Harding. Like they're doing a multi-part series on Princess Di.
Oh, I bet that's good.
They've done like scientific stuff too, like Coco the gorilla, and like the
Yeah.
other like chimpanzees and stuff that were supposed to have learned sign language and language.
That sounds
That
cool.
was not the way to phrase it. I apologize. Sign language is the language. I didn't mean
Yeah.
to like suggest it wasn't. But like You're Wrong About it. It's really good. They do a lot of good research on that.
Have to check that one out because I love podcasts, and that sounds really interesting. And also probably good because I listen to a lot of like murder podcasts. So
Entirely.
lighten things up a little bit. And I also
Yeah.
I like narrated scary stories. So listen to a couple that do
Sometimes
that.
Yeah.
I wonder how I haven't gotten kicked off this podcast yet.
Because you don't listen to podcasts.
I don't listen to
Yeah.
podcasts. Like
I
I'm
obsessively listen
so
to podcasts.
Weird.
Which is weird because like
What
you
brings
listen
that
to books on
perspective?
tape.
I listen.
Yeah.
Well, it's different
Or
though, because
on
like
tape, whatever, yeah.
podcasts typically talk about things that are like more factual or relevant to real life, and I like to escape into fantasy.
You can find a
Right.
podcast
or
about
I like
anything.
slice of life like comics. Like so it's
Yeah.
like I don't know. I just need unreality. I can't.
There's
Yeah, which
even
is-
one. Go ahead.
I was
sorry.
going to say that like I read a lot of fiction, but like I can't stand like listening to fiction. Like it just for some
Yeah.
reason it bothers me to listen to something that's not true.
I
I don't
only-
know what that like block
What's
is.
wrong with
but
you?
I get weird. Like I only give a shit about anything nonfiction if I'm specifically interested in it and I have to like be fixated on it. Like I'll get
Yeah.
hyper concentration on it. It's like all part of my ADHD or whatever. But like I don't know. Like right now I'm kind of like obsessing over string theory. But like I never even took physics. So like
Yeah.
I'm reading all of this stuff about it and I'm like way into it and just like nerding out about it. But I'll be over it in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like and then I'll move on to something else.
Quantum mechanics.
But you can really find a podcast about anything that you like want to get into.
No, but like I will not be paying attention to it is the problem. Like,
Oh,
like I
okay,
can
okay.
pay attention to fantasy. I can't pay attention to somebody explaining something to me.
I've listened to
I just
weird
can't.
like 3 to 7 hour podcasts about like one subject. There's this one like conspiracy guys or those conspiracy guys, and they talk about like one about the Illuminati, and I think it's 7 hours, and then one about like Irish folklore that was 3.5 hours. And it's like
I respect your brain.
yeah,
I,
I don't know if that I always retain a lot, but
Yeah.
yeah,
that's the problem too. I have a terrible memory. It's like I can learn all the things, and then like within 5 years, it's gone.
oh, that happens to me too. Like usually after
5 years,
we
like
do the
5
podcast,
hours.
I forget a bunch of these, a lot of the details.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. Because we even like, what podcast did we talk about that earlier?
Oh yeah,
like mention
see,
somebody.
Facts go out of my brain. Fantasy novel plot lines. I can tell you like basically like a general synopsis of every book or movie I've ever read or watched. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm not.
Right.
I'm not even exaggerating. Like you can like remind me of a film that I saw when I was like 6. Like oh shit, and then this happens. Like why the fuck did you just spoil that? I'm like okay, random.
Meanwhile, like I'm literally working on an essay about the Sandman, and I don't think I could explain it at all, like without it sitting in front of me right now.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
And I'm working on it actively. Yeah.
Brains are cool.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be the next hyperfixation.
Yeah.
Brains.
All right. Well, happy spooky season, everyone.
I know.
Spooky season.
Coming to an end soon.
Yep. Probably be
This'll
over by
be-
the time this is out.
Yes.
Sadly, I know.
And then Thanksgiving, that will Who knows what Thanksgiving looks like this
hope,
year?
Hope you're all still alive in the future, November. And
Yeah.
We're gonna make it. I can feel it.
Fingers crossed. We'll see. It's gonna be a weird holiday. I don't know. It's like downsizing it doesn't really sound that terrible to me.
No. Ours was always pretty small, but I don't think I'm going to see my sisters again until probably after the first of the year.
Word.
So, or at least for holidays.
Yeah. All right. Well, stay safe, everyone. Wear your
Yes.
mask.
So we have some new merch, some stickers, and some terrible pins that we regret having made.
We'll
But
post a picture of them on
Yeah.
our Instagram.
you can tell us what you think. And if
I might
you
actually do that like right now. So you'll be like, what is the context to this? And you'll be like, oh.
If
explain
you
this
know-
post in 2 weeks.
someone or a company that makes like decent pins,
Enamel pins.
yes,
Like, 'cause
please
I can
let
make
us know.
buttons. I have a button maker, like the punk rock pins. I can do that.
And do you guys like pins, or what kind of merch do you want? Because like I said, we have stickers, we have a bunch of stickers, and then this was just kind of to see what they would look like. And
I feel
Not
like
satisfied.
I feel like we might still sell them, but we will also
I don't think
keep in
we'll
mind like how shitty that they look, and so they will not be expensive.
I thought about like if anybody got a sticker or something, like throwing that in for free
so
for
if you buy a
advertisement.
sticker, you might get a shitty button too.
Pin,
Maybe
yeah.
2 of them.
what a
Yeah,
deal.
yeah, and like
Sold.
I'm gonna be making that post like immediately.
Yeah.
Because like they're so bad they're almost good. Like
It's
you just
out
have
of like
to
this
see it
thick
to believe it.
plastic, and it didn't say that it was going to be made out of plastic, so that was first error. But I should have read
it's
more.
basically a sticker stuck to the back of
Yeah.
like a cut out plastic thing that's about
And it's
2 or 3
jaggedly cut.
probably,
It's not even clean
a centimeter
cuts.
or 2 thick. But it's like foggy, so it's like you can't even really see it that well.
There's
2
supposed to
years,
be
it's
a
just gonna be
clear
white.
coating on the
It's
top that you
nothing
can peel
there.
off, and I've tried for way too long and with different utensils to peel this top layer off, and I don't think that they're telling me the truth. I think they're playing a game on me. They're playing a joke on me. A game.
Trifling.
Yeah.
It is comical though, but also if you happen to get a shitty pin and you do manage to peel off the top layer,
Let us know.
you should really, really help us out and let us know how
Yeah.
you did that. Because it is confusing.
We'll put the picture of some of the stickers up online too, so it's not just the shitty pins. Yeah, and let us know what kind of merch you're interested in. T-shirts,
I think I'm scratching something.
anything
I don't know if I'm
else
just ruining
that
this pen though.
you can think of that you might be interested in.
I did it.
Oh my God.
Oh my god.
Kendra's a magician. Is it any less cloudy? I can't tell from here.
Yes. Yes.
Oh
it
my
is.
gosh. Let me
But
see.
like
that
not
what it's
enough to
supposed to
be
look
good
like?
though.
Yeah, still not
Still
good.
not good.
Yeah, it's just shiny now instead of
You just gotta
cloudy.
scratch at it for a bit.
But the sides are still cloudy because it's not cut well. Okay, but yeah, I was using like pencils and even a razor blade, and
I'm like literally just scratching at it with my nail, like in
get
the
it
center of it, and it's coming off. So if you get a shitty pin and we have not pre-removed the shitty plastic cover of it, just scratch the center.
yeah,
You may also just never know.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there really isn't like a really gigantic difference. Maybe just around the edges. I hope this is as fascinating to you guys as it is to us. And on that note, have a great night.
Yeah, good night.
All right.
Or
See ya.
day, or whatever time it is when you're listening to this.
True.